Imagine being told at just 21 years old that you have 2 years left to live. Now imagine responding not with despair, but by deciding to solve some of the biggest mysteries of the universe. Black holes, time itself, the origin of everything. This is not science fiction. This is the real story of Stephen Hawking, a man whose body failed him, but whose mind roamed farther than almost anyone who has ever lived. Today, we're talking about how Stephen Hawking became one of the most important scientists in history, and why his legacy reaches far beyond physics. Stephen William Hawking was born on January 8, 1942 in Oxford, England, exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo Galilei, a coincidence Hawking himself enjoyed pointing out. His parents were both highly educated. His father was a medical researcher, and his mother was deeply interested in politics and philosophy. The household was intellectually rich but not wealthy. Books filled the home, and dinner table conversations often revolved around ideas rather than small talk. As a child, Stephen wasn't immediately seen as a prodigy. His grades were decent, not spectacular, but what set him apart was curiosity. He liked to take things apart, radios, clocks, just to see how they worked. He once said he was more interested in how things functioned than in memorizing facts. At Oxford University, where he began studying physics at age 17, Hawking developed a reputation for being brilliant and also a bit lazy. He reportedly did very little formal studying, yet still graduated with first-class honors. That pattern would continue throughout his life: a sharp mind, unconventional habits, and an instinct for seeing what others missed. After Oxford, Hawking moved to Cambridge University to pursue graduate studies in cosmology, a field that at the time was still considered somewhat speculative. Then, during his early 20s, something began to go wrong. He started tripping, dropping things. His speech became slightly slurred. At first, he ignored it, but eventually, after collapsing while ice skating, he was hospitalized. The diagnosis was devastating: amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a progressive neurodegenerative disease. Doctors told him he likely had 2 years to live. Hawking later described this period as deeply depressing. He withdrew, struggled to find meaning, and questioned whether it was worth continuing his studies. But something changed. He became engaged to Jane Wilde, a fellow Cambridge student. That commitment, the idea of a future, gave him a reason to keep going. And with that shift came an explosion of intellectual focus. Hawking's scientific breakthrough came from a radical idea: applying Einstein's theory of general relativity to the origin and fate of the universe itself. At the time, many scientists believed the universe was eternal and unchanging. Hawking, working with mathematician Roger Penrose, proved that space and time themselves had a beginning, what we now call the Big Bang singularity. This work fundamentally changed cosmology. It suggested that the universe didn't just expand, it started. But Hawking didn't stop there. In the 1970s, he turned his attention to black holes, objects thought to be so dense that nothing, not even light, could escape them. Then came one of the most shocking ideas in modern physics. Using principles from quantum mechanics, Hawking proposed that black holes are not entirely black. They emit tiny amounts of radiation. This idea, now known as Hawking radiation, suggested that black holes could slowly evaporate over time, something previously thought impossible. It was controversial. Some physicists initially rejected it, but over time, Hawking radiation became one of the most important theoretical discoveries in physics, linking gravity, quantum theory, and thermodynamics. To this day, it remains a cornerstone of efforts to unify the laws of nature. As Hawking's scientific influence grew, his physical condition worsened. ALS gradually paralyzed almost his entire body. He lost the ability to walk, then to write, and eventually to speak. After a severe bout of pneumonia in 1985, doctors performed a tracheotomy that permanently removed his natural voice. From that point on, Hawking spoke using a computerized speech synthesizer, controlled first by hand and later by tiny movements in his cheek muscle. That robotic voice became iconic, but it also reflected something profound. Even when nearly all physical expression was gone, his thoughts remained crystal clear. Hawking once said, "Although I cannot move and I have to speak through a computer, in my mind I am free." In 1988, Hawking did something unexpected. He wrote a book, not for scientists, for everyone. A brief history of time aimed to explain complex ideas, black holes, time, the Big Bang, in plain language. Publishers expected modest sales. Instead, it became a global phenomenon. The book sold over 10 million copies, spent years on bestseller lists, and turned Hawking into a household name. Many readers admitted they didn't fully understand it, but they read it anyway. Why? Because Hawking made people feel invited into the universe. He treated curiosity as something universal, not reserved for experts. With fame came visibility far beyond academia. Hawking appeared on The Simpsons, Star Trek: The Next Generation, Futurama, and The Big Bang Theory, always playing versions of himself, often with sharp humor. He joked about his condition, he teased fellow scientists, he laughed at his own computerized voice. But he also used his platform seriously. He warned about artificial intelligence, climate change, and nuclear weapons. He spoke openly about the risks humanity faced and the responsibility that came with knowledge. In later years, he became particularly vocal about space exploration, arguing that humanity needed to become a multi-planet species to survive long-term. Stephen Hawking's personal life was complicated. He and Jane Wilde had 3 children, but their marriage eventually ended. The strain of illness, fame, and caretaking took its toll. His second marriage to Elaine Mason was also controversial and later ended. These aspects of his life remind us that Stephen Hawking was not a saint or a myth, but a human being, navigating extraordinary circumstances. Stephen Hawking lived far longer than anyone predicted. Not 2 years, but more than 50. He continued working, publishing, lecturing, and thinking until the end. On March 14, 2018, he passed away peacefully at the age of 76, fittingly on Pi Day, another quiet cosmic coincidence. Today, Hawking's legacy is everywhere, in physics equations, in textbooks, in pop culture, in the simple idea that curiosity matters. He showed the world that intelligence is not about physical strength, speed, or even certainty, but about imagination and persistence. Stephen Hawking once said, "Remember to look up at the stars and not look down at your feet." Despite a body that confined him, he spent his life looking up, farther than most of us ever will. And in doing so, he changed how we understand the universe and ourselves.